Welcome, I'm Mary McEwen, your host for Find Your Family for Free. Today we're going to talk about a resource a lot of people overlook and it can be very valuable, and that's your local public library. First, we're going to talk to my friend Alma, who was instrumental in getting thousands of family history books in our local library in Olympia, Washington. And then we're going to actually go down to the library and talk to Sarah, the librarian there, and she's going to show us Alma's collection and many other resources that you can use in the library and online. Then I will show you how to find if these kinds of resources are available at your local library, and most of them are. So let's get going. Hi, Mary McEwen here at a very special person's home. I am just really privileged to introduce you to one of the premier genealogists of Thurston County. Her name is Alma Greenwood, and we're going to find out some good stuff about Alma today. Alma, would you please tell our viewers about your background in library science, please?
Well, I went to college in the 50s, and then I dropped out like so many others to get married and have a family, and after 4 children, decided it was time to go back to school. First, I went to work at the Tumwater Library when it opened. It was part of the demonstration program from money from the federal grant to the state library. And after working at the library in Tumwater from the time it opened, where I was in charge of the building, I decided maybe it was time to go back to school. So I went back to St. Martin's College. And then after a couple of years, I graduated. Oddly enough, I graduated with my mother.
Oh, really?
Also had.
What was she studying?
She was just getting a bachelor's degree at that point, but she went on to get a library degree. She followed me. I finished my library degree in 1970 after graduating from St. Martin's in '69, and I was fortunate enough to get a fellowship to the University of Washington, which is one of the few library schools anywhere in the Northwest. And I commuted to Seattle every day during that time period, which was quite a commute. Even in the 70s, it was a commute.
Probably more so than today.
Yes, I actually was on the campus when they had the riots during the...
You didn't start them, right?
No, I didn't. But I did see police on the campus and people in riot gear and all several times.
That's pretty exciting.
Which added a bit to my life there. And then after I graduated from the School of Librarianship with my master's degree, I returned to work as a reference librarian at the branch Olympia Library, which was in the old Carnegie building at that time.
Oh, I remember that. That was a beautiful building.
Yeah. I think it's a church now, but it had several reincarnations since then.
Now, you're not only a librarian, but you're also a founding member of the Olympia Genealogical Society with your friend Ann Olson in May of 1975, is that correct?
74,
oh,
actually.
Excuse me, 74. Can you tell us about that? Because that's very fascinating. Why you two ladies decided to start this genealogical society. How big has it grown to?
Well, actually, at one time, it was close to 200 members. It's since a lot of changes in genealogy, it's not as big anymore.
It's not as big. But, okay, what did you and Ann do? How did you go about starting this society?
Well, actually, the Friends of the Library sponsored programs that were of interest to the public, and in order to get a lot of interest, we decided that maybe genealogy would be a topic that people would like to hear more about.
Okay. And
so we requested that they get somebody to come down and speak to us in the old building there. Now, upstairs in the library on the 2nd floor was the reading room, and that's the only place they could have a program. And we had 85 people attend.
For your first program?
For the first program.
And it's still going 40 plus years later, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Can anyone join the society?
Anybody at all. We encourage people. We've had members actually from, I think even sometimes from foreign countries.
Oh, really?
People that, especially back when you were gathering publications, and when we publish something that would be of interest to people doing research about the Olympia area, then
So this isn't just a Thurston County thing, it's spread way out.
yes, it has.
Well, that's wonderful. Where do you meet for the Genealogical Society?
Well, now we're meeting in the courthouse. We met for many years in the library.
But now it's the courthouse.
Yes.
What day do you meet?
We meet on the second Thursday of the month at 7:30, or at 7 p.m., excuse me.
So,
and we usually have a speaker on a genealogically related topic.
There's also a group that meets in the library, isn't there, to help people?
Yes, there is. They meet a couple times a month, and once on Thursday and once in the afternoon and once on Saturday mornings. And people are there from the society to help anybody that comes in.
Could a
and would
beginner
like.
come? I mean, somebody that didn't know anything?
That's exactly what they specify.
Well, if I were going to come, what kind of things would you want me to bring to find out about my people?
Some of your basic information that
Like
you
your mother
have,
and father and things like that?
and as far back as you can, and what you know and would like to know. Besides that, once a year in October, they always sponsor a beginner's workshop.
Oh, really? Now that's sponsored by the Genealogical Society?
And the library. It's a
Now,
co-sponsored
if I want to
event.
be in that, how would I find out when it is?
Well, usually they have a sign up there and information in the library. They usually have to register at the library.
What kind of things would I learn?
Well, you'd learn what the basic terminology for research in genealogy, like pedigree charts and family group sheets, and what kind of materials you'd find there, and how to get started. And
Are teenagers and youth of that age welcome?
oh yes, hopefully. It's all of us would like to see our younger people get involved, and sometimes they are. The speaker at a recent genealogy meeting was from a Boy Scout troop that has
Oh, really?
because they have a merit badge. And
So this could help with scouting too.
yeah, so it could be any kind of thing like that.
So there's just many, many opportunities here in Thurston County
Right.
for beginners and youth and anyone that's interested. Now, the main reason I wanted to talk to you is the library collection on family history that they have up at the Olympia Library. What is that collection called?
It doesn't have
It
a
doesn't have a
formal
name.
name. It's just the genealogy section.
Now, you were also, you had your friends Jean Laws and Pat Harper helped?
Yes, well, Jean and Pat, of course, both worked for the reference department, and of course that's where you go to ask questions. And
So they knew what people wanted.
well, Jean had a lot of experience in genealogy before she even came here, but Pat, I don't think, had any at all. And of course, it's infectious. You were,
Oh, yes. It's very habit-forming.
as we all know, you start getting a little information, and then you want to learn more, and you want everybody else to learn what you've learned, because you just got to tell somebody.
My favorite saying is that if you're a genealogist, sleep is optional.
Well, I've always said that people joined organizations in genealogy because they wanted to have somebody else that would listen to their stories.
I think there's a lot of truth in that. Now, how many books did you start with?
We started with one title.
One title.
2 volumes.
2 volumes.
Called Genealogies in the Library of Congress.
How many books do you have in the collection now?
There's over 3,700 books
Over
now.
3,700. If I went there, how would I start researching? Would I look for my family, or would I look for a location? Well, how are the books arranged?
The books are arranged by Dewey Decimal System,
Oh, okay.
which doesn't make much sense to laymen usually, but to librarians it does, which is actually it's kind of a geographical
Oh, okay,
arrangement.
okay. So I don't have to have been from Washington to have a book about my family.
Oh, no. I would say the majority of them probably are not about local.
So do people just donate these besides the money given by the library?
In the beginning, the Olympia Genealogical Society, because probably of the connection to library staff, decided that $1 of everyone's dues would go into purchasing materials for the library. And I think we're unique in that way. So
Now, is
over
there
the years, we've had quite a bit of money that's gone from that and from memorials too, and donations from the public.
Is there any other library in the whole system that has this wonderful treasure trove of books?
Well, a few of the Timberland libraries have some collections,
But yours
but
is the big
none
one.
of anywhere like it. When we get a second copy of something donated or something from a local person in one of the other 5 county libraries, then it would go into
So it
that
would-
collection.
Now, I can't check out these books, can I? I have to come to the library to look at them.
Not the ones that I was mentioning,
Mm-hmm.
but there are many, many books in the library collection that you can check out. And these are ones that range from telling you how to do genealogy research. Just, in fact, I noticed you have one that's listed in there.
Yes, I do.
That's one of the basic ones. And then they go into particular types of research, like Cherokee research or Quakers or something
So
like
all
that.
over the spectrum.
And then they go into geographic areas.
So I just need to come in and look at what you have, and then there's some books I can check out and some DVDs
Right.
and things like that. Now, what would you like to tell us about this collection? I found a lovely photograph of you last year giving a talk on this very subject at the library in front of the books. What did you tell those people was special about this, and what do you want people to know about this collection that anybody can go look at?
Well, of course, I always encourage you to be really prepared. So
Okay.
either to sit down in the library and decide what area you're going to research in or what your topic would be, or to do it at home and print out what you exactly plan to look at so that you can go right to the shelf and pull the book you want off, or in the case of some of the circulating ones, you might have to request it and the library would get it for you from another branch, or if it was checked out.
Now, tell us what you told the people in your wonderful speech you gave about this collection particularly.
Well, I feel very proud of that collection.
You should be, lady.
Because it was founded by some work just by all kinds of people.
Namely, Alma Greenwood,
Well,
Pat Harper,
no,
and Jean Laws.
We've worked with it, and we've certainly enjoyed
Well,
the
that's what the internet
connection
says.
with the people and so on.
So you got to take some credit there, because you are now immortal on the, and rightfully so for all the things you've done. You've also written books. I know you wrote one on the collection back in 1987, was it? And many, many articles. But let's go back to the collection. So be prepared. What hours can I see this collection? Anytime the library's open?
Anytime the library.
I don't have to have a special pass to go there,
No.
because I've been to the library in New York City, and you can't touch the books.
Yeah,
but
I've been
I can
there.
actually pull a book off the shelf and sit there and thumb through it.
Yeah, we
Now-
do not have any collection except what would be in the other branches
Mm-hmm.
of the Timberland Library, but not. There's no back room collection or anything.
And if I
like
find
that.
something, I can go and copy it. They don't say I can't copy it.
Oh, you may.
Wow, I want to go. Now, the library is open at most days at 11 o'clock in the morning and then 10 o'clock on Saturday. Is that correct?
I think so.
Well, I hope after this show that we just have those genealogists lined up. And we want to thank you, Alma, for your wonderful work in gathering these books and the Genealogical Society. What motivated you to do this?
Well, actually, I always said I was corrupted by the patrons because after they started
All those corrupt library goers. Huh?
asking me questions, I suddenly realized that I didn't know anything about my father's family, and they were all dead, and which is typical of genealogists. We don't start when we should, and there's somebody to ask questions, and we wait until there's nobody, and then we have to do the research. And you know it's addictive, and so
Oh,
once you
yes.
get started, you just
But it's a
keep
good
on.
addiction.
I've been to Salt Lake, and I've been to the World Conference on Records, and I attended classes at Provo for a week one year. So I've done a lot of things that have enhanced my life as well.
You're not anywhere near finished, are you?
Don't ever, when people tell me they've finished with their genealogy, the only way you
You try not to laugh in their face?
is because you die.
Then they got to start doing your genealogy.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much. I know our viewers are going to just be thrilled to find out all this good information.
Well, I hope they enjoy the library.
I don't know if you can hear all the clapping, but I hear people clapping for what you've said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we've been to visit Alma, and now we've come down to see these wonderful collections she was telling us about. And we have a great guide today, Sarah Pate. Sarah?
Hello.
Will you show us the different, the genealogical collection? And Alma didn't talk about it, but there's a genealogical computer. So let's go over to that section.
Sure, I'll show you. It's right over here. So our print genealogy reference collection starts here, and it winds all the way around this shelf and then completely against the back wall as well. It starts with some general works like Guide to Federal Records and other passenger lists and things like that. And after this first sort of general list, it's organized by the Dewey Decimal System, which puts things into different sections by state. So after we go through the regular shelves here, in about the middle of this shelf, we start in with Massachusetts and other states. And Washington is all the way over here. In the Washington collection, we have things like the Olympia Genealogical Society Quarterly and other reference materials that are great for folks researching family history from our state. And we also do interlibrary loan from our collection. About every day we lend 1 to 2 items to libraries all across the country from our collection.
Sarah, you also told me you had microfilm and microfiche readers. And could you tell us the types of events the library holds for genealogists throughout the year?
Okay, so we have a wonderful partnership with the Olympia Genealogical Society, and twice a month they come in and do a genealogy cafe on the 3rd Thursday and the 3rd Saturday of the month from 1 to 3. It's a drop-in. You can come anytime, and so whether you're just beginning your genealogy or you're advanced and you've hit a brick wall, the experts can help you wherever you are on your journey. So here we have our 2 genealogy computers. They have no time limits on them, and they're free and open during any of our open hours. We have Ancestry Library Edition loaded on them, and we also have Heritage Quest. Those are 2 databases that the library pays for so that they're free for library users. And then we also have several genealogy websites loaded on these that you can use that are just free sites, such as Find a Grave and RootsWeb. So here we have our 2 microfilm readers. We've got one digital and one of the older versions as well. They both have printing capability. With the digital version, you can use your 50 free prints a week at the library to get prints from that. And it also has some more advanced capabilities in terms of zooming in and working with microfilm that might be of a lesser quality or harder to read. And we have the Olympian on microfilm here from the very beginning in territorial days to the present. And a lot of folks who are doing genealogy from other areas will get microfilm via interlibrary loan from other states so that they can find obituaries and other information, and they use our microfilm readers here to get the information out.
Sarah, can you tell us the hours for the Olympia Library so the genealogists can rush in here and use all these wonderful things?
Sure. On Monday and Tuesday, we're open from 11 to 8. Wednesday and Thursday, we're open 11 to 7. Friday, we're 10 to 6. And Saturday, we are 10 to 5.
Thank you. And you can access some of the things you told us about online with your library card, can't you?
Exactly. Ancestry Library Edition is only available in the library buildings, but Heritage Quest is available from home with your library card number and PIN.
So if you're interested in genealogy, come to the Olympia Library and ask for Sarah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to show you how to use your public library to find your family for free. First, we need to type in a name of a library or a library system. I'm going to type in Timberline Regional Library because that's where I'm located. Okay, I will select Timberline Regional Library, but first I want to show you that this not only serves the Thurston County where I'm at, but it serves Grays Harbor, Lewis, Mason, Pacific counties. Many other counties in the state of Washington served by a similar type of genealogical program, as are most of the major cities in the United States. So even if you're not in Timberland Regional Library Network, this will be valuable to you. So let's go to Timberland Library. We'll go to Research, Internet Resources, and then down to one of our favorite words, genealogy. Now let me go slowly down this list, and you can see some of the things that they recommend. Here's even Family Search, the one that we had used in our first episode. But they also have specific resources, and some of these are just great. And down here they have regional. This is Washington State information. Now, you may not live in Washington, and some of that might actually apply to you, but let me show something that does to all of our viewers, and that's Heritage Quest Online. The first one to come up is the census records. I want you to note that they go from 1790 all the way up to 1940, an absolute treasure trove for you. So we'll go down and we'll select Search Now for the census. As you'll note, behind the 1910 census it says updated. This is important because there was a lot of good information on the 1910 census, but it was written very small and in a landscape form. It's hard to read on a computer, and it's very hard to print out. So let's see what they've done to update the census. I'm going to use my great-grandfather, Charles M. Weston, because I looked at him on the 1910 census, but I couldn't read it all. So let's see what other good information they're giving me on Charles. I know he was born in 1859 in Maine. So I'll just use a little drop-down menu. And I know at the time of the 1910 census he was living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Again, I used the drop-down menu. And I know his wife's name was Agnes. That's important when you have a more numerous name like Weston. So let's hit the search mode. There he is. He's the very top one. Okay, let's see what I couldn't read on this smaller one. Well, here's his address. He is the head of the house, which isn't always the case. His native tongue is English, and his parents came from Maine. He owns his own business, and there's the name of the business. He has his own home, and he's been married 24 years. Now, there's some information I didn't have. I couldn't read his information on his employment, and I didn't know how long he was married, so that's very helpful. Let's try his wife, because I have conflicting information about where she was born. It says she was born in Canada, in English Canada, which means it wasn't the French portion, which I already know, but that's nice to know if you didn't. And it tells me that her parents are from Ireland, and another important piece of information it gives me here is that she immigrated with her family in 1866, which I didn't have. So I found quite a bit of information. So check out the census records. Let's go back now. And we'll go to search books. Now, I actually personally like to use the family search book mode better, but it's your choice. Under the family history books they have people, publications, and directories. The city directories can be very helpful to find a member of your family because it'll give their occupation and their address in the town in which they lived, and most people in the United States are in one of the directories. So let's go back to one of my favorite ones, is Search Revolutionary War Records. Now let's read here. It says search selected records from the Revolutionary War era pension and bounty land warrant applications. Some people got just money from serving in the Revolutionary War. Some got land also. So let's check this out. Now, I'm going to use one of my ancestors. I know that he served from Connecticut, but he has such an unusual name. I'm just going to put in his name just for fun to see how many of that name were in the American Revolution. His name was Eli Oh, and I know he had an unusual occupation also in the American Revolution. Eli Widger, I haven't put anything on there but that. Now, you couldn't do that with a common name, but his is very unusual. Well, there's only one of him, which I figured there was. Let's view his record. Now, it gives his wife's name Lucy, and I knew her name was Lucy. I just didn't put it in. Okay, let's view his record. Now, we are looking at the actual file from the 1800s that was made out for him. And here is what is unusual about his occupation. He was in the Navy. Did you know we had a Revolutionary War Navy? Well, he was in it. And he was a privateer. That's a nice way of saying he was a pirate for the government. Arg! I like this guy. Now, there are two types of records in here. Selected records, which deal directly with his claim for bounty land grant and his family's claim. But there is also a selection called unselected records. It's family information. So when you finish reading your selected records, please go on to your unselected, because you'll find some little jewels in there too. I won't, this is pay information and what grade he was in as a serviceman and so on and so forth. But here's a record. These written records can have personal information, battle information, all kinds of really interesting things. And look at this. He signed this. So whether he wrote this or not, he actually signed this document. Now, what this is part of the family Bible, but I can't read it very well. See, that's a page out of the Bible because it's been blotted. So I'm really glad something happened in the 1930s. We'll get to that here in just a minute, after we get past these written records. We're almost there. Now, in the 1930s, we had a depression. I'm not grateful for that, but I'm grateful that many educated people who could not find work went to work for the National Archives and copied down some of these records. This is a letter in response to a lady who's written to the National Archives to know about Eli. And it lays out things so you can actually read it. It tells the battles he was at and everything. And it would take many hours to actually analyze those letters. So this is a great help. And let me show you something that's worth an amazing amount of time and money. Eli and Lucy had 10 children. What are the odds, since they moved around, some of them went to Pennsylvania and Ohio and different places, what are the odds that you could find all 10 children in one document, the month they were born in, the year, and selected information about them? You wouldn't find that any place but the family Bible. And Lucy obviously had turned in the family Bible to show which children were hers. So this is just an incredible source of information. Now here's your non-selected records. Again, they don't necessarily pertain to his service record, but they have family information in them, so check them out. We're going to go back to our choosing categories now. Here we are back at our categories. This last one is called the Freedmen Bank Records. This is for individuals who were slaves and were freed, and this is their information from 1865 to 1874. It was a bank set up for African Americans. Now, I do not have African American heritage, but if I did, this is one of the very first places I would go, and I'll show you why. It is one of the few sources that you can find in a group of an index that isn't state by state, where you have to go and individually look up everything, that might tell you where your African American ancestor was born, who their family were, their brothers and sisters, their wife, their children, their occupation, many, many things. I'm going to choose the name I always choose when I'm looking in a record and I don't know the name, and I always choose John Jones. That's just my preference, so I'm going to type in John Jones. I'm not going to type in anything else about John Jones because I don't know anything, so let's hit search. Let's choose the very first John Jones just to show that I'm just going by what I find. Okay, let's see what our John Jones is. Okay, it tells me that John Jones was born in 1813, that he's 59. He opened his account in 1870. That's 5 years after the slaves were freed. There must be a reason he did that, and we'll see if we can find it out. It says his wife's name is Ellen. His father's name is Pinetto. His mother's name is Kitty. That he was born in Richmond in the county of Savannah in Virginia, and he's now living in Georgia. His children are Catherine and Diana, and his siblings are James, Ned, William. So let's check out the actual record because there's more information on that. Here we go. Here's John Jones right here. Okay, it says date of application, where born, Richmond, where brought up, same place. Now that's important. And it says where he's living now and how old he is. And it says about 59 years. So he's not quite sure the exact time he was born. It tells his complexion. He's a physician and he works for himself. Well, good for you, John. Here's his wife, Ellen. Here's his children, Catherine, 7, and Diana, 3.5. Here's his father, and it tells that his father is deceased and that his mother's deceased. It says that he has brothers, but it says he never had any sisters, and here he signs his mark. So we have really come full circle in John's story. He certainly did well for himself. He knew who his parents were, even if they had been separated. He knew his siblings. He had children of his own, and he had a wife. What a wonderful amount of information, and you could look many years to find that without these bank records. Now, not everybody was on them, but many, many people were. So check them out. You may just really have a wonderful surprise. So here we are back at Heritage Quest, and we'll just real quickly review that you can find census records, books, Revolutionary War records, and African American records. If you use this, I guarantee you're going to find something on your family. So try it. And if you don't know about your local system, go down and talk to them at the library and see if you have a local family history section that you might not have known about. Your trail back to your ancestors can go straight through the library, either in person or online. Try it, you'll like it, it's a lot of fun. Well, I hope you had a good time visiting with Alma at the library. I sure did. I hope you've gotten some good hints, especially Heritage Quest. Be sure and check that out because those military records are very expensive if you have to buy them. And the census records and the African American records are absolute treasures. I hope you've enjoyed this and that it will encourage you to check out your local library. Until next time, may you be blessed.
If you have questions or comments about our show, or you would like to be featured on an upcoming episode, please email us, findyourfamilyfree@gmail.com.